You make more money than you did 5 years ago. Maybe a little more, maybe significantly more. And yet, if you're honest with yourself, the account balance looks roughly the same as it did back then. The financial stress hasn't really lifted. The goals that would actually change your life still feel about as far away as they did when you were earning less. You upgraded the apartment, got a better car, the restaurants got nicer, the wardrobe got updated, the subscriptions multiplied. Everything rose to match the income. And somehow, despite earning more than you ever have, you feel exactly as stuck as you did before. I know that feeling. I've lived that feeling. And for a long time, I thought the solution was earning more, that if I could just get to the next number on the paycheck, things would finally click into place. They didn't because the number wasn't the problem. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you're working hard and doing your best. Over 60% of Americans earning six figures still live paycheck to paycheck. 6 figures. That's more than most households in this country earn. And they're still stressed, still stretched, still wondering where the money went at the end of every month. The money went exactly where money always goes when there's no system directing it. Into lifestyle, into the upgrade reflex, into the gap between what you earn and what you thought you'd feel once you earned it. Today, I want to show you the actual framework that changes this. Not theory, not vague, spend less advice, but a concrete system that decides what every dollar does before you even see it. It's called the 15-50-20-15 rule, and once you understand it, the way you manage money will never look the same. Hey, I'm Alice from Money Blueprint, building real financial freedom together, one honest conversation at a time. Let's get into this. Before the framework, one thing has to land clearly. Your income is not your problem. I know that might be hard to hear, especially if you feel like you'd be fine with just a little more, but the data is pretty unambiguous. Spending expands to fill whatever income is available. Economists call it Parkinson's law of money. Expenditures rise to meet income almost automatically, unless something deliberately intercepts them. The raise disappears, the bonus evaporates, the side income gets absorbed. You scale your life to match what you earn, and the margin never materializes. The people who build real wealth don't escape this because they're more disciplined or more motivated than you. They escape it because they built systems that intercept money before lifestyle gets to it. Good decisions become automatic. Saving happens without requiring willpower. The architecture does the work so they don't have to. That's what we're building today, not a willpower challenge, an architecture. The framework has 4 buckets and a simple rule. Every dollar gets a job before it lands. 15% to your future self, 50% to essentials, 20% to lifestyle, 15% to your stability fund. 15, 50, 20, 15. That's it. Everything else is implementation. Let's go through each one honestly. The first 15%, your future self. This is the bucket most people treat as the leftovers bucket, whatever's still there at the end of the month after everything else. And because life is expensive and unpredictable, the end of the month usually looks like nothing or close to it. So the future self gets nothing, month after month, year after year, until suddenly you're much older and the compound interest window everyone talks about has quietly closed. The 15-50-20-15 system flips this completely. The first money that moves when your paycheck arrives goes to investments, not last, first, before you see it, before Friday evening makes a compelling case for something else, before lifestyle has a single shot at it. Here's why timing matters so much. Someone who invests $300 a month starting at 25 ends up with roughly $1.2 million by 65 at average market returns. Someone who waits until 35 and invests the same amount every month ends up with around $500,000. Same contribution, same return. 10 years of delay cost them $700,000. The money isn't the difference, the starting point is. Where does this 15% actually go? Start with whatever your employer will match in a 401k. That match is a 100% immediate return before the investment even grows. There is nothing else in personal finance with that kind of guaranteed return on day one. Get the full match, no exceptions. After that, a Roth IRA. Contributions come in after tax, growth is completely tax-free, and withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. The government never touches those gains again. In 2026, you can contribute up to $7,000 to a Roth IRA, plus an extra $1,000 if you're 50 or over. What do you invest in once you're inside these accounts? Keep it simple. A total market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund, expense ratio under 0.1%, automatic monthly purchases, do not touch it when the market does alarming things. Over every 15-year window in modern stock market history, diversified index fund investors have made money. The strategy that beats most professional fund managers isn't clever, it's consistent and patient. Set up the automatic transfer. The 15% leaves your account on payday. You never see it sitting there looking spendable. That's the entire point. The 50%, the real cost of your actual life. Half your income, maximum, goes to the true cost of keeping your life running. Housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, the baseline of existence. Notice what's not on that list: restaurants, entertainment, streaming services, clothing beyond genuine necessities, gym memberships, coffee. Those aren't essentials, they're lifestyle, and they belong in a different bucket with a hard ceiling. The reason most people blow past 50% without noticing is that the line between essential and comfortable gets blurred constantly. I need to eat, so eating out is essential. I need transportation, so the car payment for this specific car is essential. This is how 50 becomes 65, becomes 70, and you're genuinely confused about why nothing is left. The 50% cap forces a real question. What does it actually cost to keep my life running versus what does it cost to keep my life comfortable? Comfort is completely fine. It just comes from a different bucket with a limit attached. Two categories determine almost everything in the essentials bucket: housing and transportation. Housing should ideally stay under 25 to 30% of your income. In expensive cities, that might mean roommates or a smaller place than you'd prefer or a longer commute. That trade-off is temporary. The financial margin it creates is permanent. Transportation is the silent wealth killer that almost nobody talks about. The average new car payment in 2026 is over $770 a month. Add insurance, gas, and maintenance, and you're looking at well over $1,000 a month for a depreciating asset. That same $1,000 per month invested for 20 years at average market returns is over $750,000. The car gets you from point A to point B. So does a reliable used one for a fraction of the cost. The status signal an expensive car sends impresses people you'll probably never see again, while quietly robbing the version of you who is 65 and wants options. The 20%. Real life with real limits. Here's where most financial frameworks lose people. They treat every non-essential as a problem to eliminate. Life becomes a series of restrictions. Nothing fun, nothing enjoyable, just austerity in the service of a future that feels abstract and far away. And then people abandon the whole system after 6 weeks because sustainable plans have to include reasons to stick with them. 20% of your income is yours. Restaurants, travel, hobbies, the concert tickets, the clothes beyond the basics, the experiences you actually want to have. Guilt-free, planned for, built into the system. Not an afterthought, a deliberate component. The research on financial behavior consistently shows that people who build small, enjoyable spending into their plans stick with those plans far longer than people who try to eliminate all discretionary spending. The psychology is the same as dieting. Complete restriction leads to explosion. Sustainable approaches include room to breathe. The practical move? A separate account for this 20%. The moment your paycheck arrives, 20% transfers automatically to a dedicated spending account. That's your fun money for the month. When it's gone, it's gone. Not a crisis, just next month. What this structure does is remove guilt from spending that's already budgeted, while creating a natural ceiling that prevents lifestyle from metastasizing beyond what the system supports. One thing I've noticed in my own spending: experiences outlast things almost every time. The trip I took 3 years ago is still vivid. The thing I bought around the same time, I can barely remember. The 20% tends to go further when it goes towards things that actually stay with you.
The final 15%. The buffer that protects everything else. This is the bucket most people skip, and it's why one bad month can unravel years of progress. The Stability Fund, 5 months of essential expenses, sitting in a high-yield savings account, earning something real, accessible within 24 hours. Without this, the whole system is fragile. Job loss, medical bill, car repair, any of these sends someone without a buffer straight to credit card debt, or worse, straight to liquidating investments at whatever price the market happens to be at that moment. Everything they built becomes the emergency fund by default, which is the most expensive possible use of invested assets. 15% of your income goes here until you hit the target. If your essentials run $2,500 a month, the target is $12,500. If they run $3,500, it's $17,500. 5 months of the real baseline cost of your life. Where does this money live? A high-yield savings account. Online banks are currently offering 4 to 5% APY, which is more than 10 times what traditional bank savings accounts pay. Not invested in the market where it could be down 30% exactly when you need it. Not in a CD where there's a penalty to withdraw. Liquid, safe, and actually earning something while it waits. Once you hit the target, this 15% redirects to investments. But until the cushion exists, it's the priority because it's the thing that makes every other bucket sustainable when life does what life does. Now the part that matters as much as the percentages, the mindset underneath the math. Most people earn money to spend it. Their financial life is a cycle of earning and consuming. It works fine until an emergency arrives, or a goal appears that requires capital they don't have, or they reach an age where working forever stops feeling optional. The shift that actually changes the trajectory isn't finding a better savings rate or a better investment. It's changing what money is for, from a resource you use up to an asset you own. Every dollar in an index fund is a small ownership stake in hundreds of companies, their employees, their products, their profits, compounding in value while you're doing other things. That's what making money work for you actually means, not a motivational phrase, a literal description of what happens when assets appreciate. The 15% going to investments every month isn't disappearing, it's accumulating ownership. And ownership, over decades, does something that no salary ever can. It generates income that doesn't require your presence. That gap between income from work and income from ownership is the real definition of financial freedom. Not a number, not a destination, a structural shift in where your money comes from. Here's the honest part. This system works at $50,000 a year. It works at $200,000 a year. The percentages are the same, only the dollar amounts change. But here's the part that's also true. The system is the foundation, not the ceiling. Once the automatic transfers are running and the stability fund is built and the investment accounts are funded, the highest leverage thing you can do is earn more. Because 15% of $100,000 is $15,000 a year invested. 15% of $200,000 with lifestyle held steady is $30,000 a year. Same percentages, twice the fuel in the compounding machine. The system creates the structure. Income growth provides the acceleration. Both matter. Neither alone gets you where you're going.
So here's what I want you to do this week. Not this month, this week. 1. Open a high-yield savings account if you don't have one. Move your emergency fund there. This costs you nothing and immediately improves the return on money you already have sitting somewhere. 2. Check whether your employer matches 401k contributions. If they do and you're not getting the full match, you're leaving free money on the table. Fix this before anything else. 3. Calculate your actual essentials. Pull 3 months of bank statements, identify everything genuinely non-negotiable, and add it up. That number is your baseline. If it's above 50% of your take-home, you now know exactly where to look. 4. Set up the automatic transfers, the 15% to investments, the 15% to savings, the 20% to a separate spending account. All of it scheduled for payday. This is the one action that changes the system from aspirational to actual. You don't have to do all of this perfectly on day one, but you do have to start, because every month you stay in a system that has no architecture is a month where income flows in and lifestyle absorbs everything, exactly the way it's been doing. The people who build wealth that looks impossible from the outside didn't find a secret. They built a structure, and then they let time do what time does to a structure that's working. Now you have the structure. One last thing, and I mean this genuinely, not as a throwaway line at the end of a video. If you found this useful, subscribe to Money Blueprint, not for the algorithm, not for the vanity metric, but because this is what this channel is here to do, to have the honest financial conversations that most people are figuring out alone, without a map, later than they should have started. Every video I make, I'm trying to be the person I wish I'd had access to earlier. And the more people who find this community, the more we can build it into something genuinely useful. We're doing this together. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're starting from, what part of this hit hardest, what you're going to set up this week. I read every single one, and the stories in the comments are usually better than the videos. I'll see you in the next one.